Stick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
Join me right now, all the way from California, is UFC heavyweight prospect Jared Vanderaa. Jared, what's going on?
Just another day in the office or back room. If you could see the ugly green and my candy machines, stuff like that. Just trying to recover from this morning, and prepping for this fight. It's coming quick. We're what, 2.5 weeks away now?
Exactly. Yeah, the background reminds me of the show The Office. I don't know why, for some reason.
I've actually never watched it.
You haven't? Oh man, I recommend it, and it's probably one of the best ever. But anyways, back to the fighting. Contender Series last November. You go out there, you do your thing, you get scheduled a month later to fight at UFC 256 in early September. COVID hits you. Talk about dealing with the symptoms and the sickness.
I really didn't have any symptoms or sickness. I couldn't tell if I had COVID or a hangover. Like, I got back and I was just like, one of my students bought me a bottle of Sailors because he knows I like rum. And I'm like, well, I'm clearly not fighting this weekend, so I cracked that open, I didn't, kill the whole bottle in a night. I spread it out through the week, so, evening times I had 3 or 4 shots, mixed drink, and, wake up with that little, cotton mouth headache thing. And I was just like, well, if it's COVID or alcohol, I don't know. But for the most part, that was basically it, when you couldn't tell the difference between a slight hangover and sickness. So I was predominantly asymptomatic. I actually took another test that following Monday. It came back negative. So it didn't really, didn't hit me hard at all.
Well, that's good, man, because it seems like some fighters, when they do contract the virus, it lasts for months and months. Like, look at Cody Garbrandt. He's been out for a long time.
Oh, that's what I thought. It was just, I think I feel like he was trying to rebuild himself. So I didn't think too much of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess a lot of it has to do with some of the lasting effects of COVID.
I'm sure I'm allowed to talk about this, is medicals. Okay, so I got all my medicals done a week or two, I think even a month out before my Contender Series. Your blood and all that stuff, it lasts about 6 months professionally, a year in the amateur ranks. But your EKG, your certain physicals, they tend to last a year. And your EKG, I think, lasts about 3 years. I could be wrong on the dates, but because I got COVID, they're actually asking me to redo basically my whole medical thing for this upcoming fight. Which, the UFC is amazing. They have set up everything. They do they set up the appointments. They tell you where, you just go. They're amazing in that aspect. The only downside is I just have to do it all over again. And so because of that, that's I'm a little upset about it, because I just hate doing all of it over and over again. But yeah, that was one of the medical things that I found out actually 2 days ago, that I had to redo all my medicals for this upcoming fight because I had COVID. So because of that, that was the one thing I didn't know, because I would have tried to address it a little bit sooner. But I mean, it's not. I get it's a small price to pay for the sport that we do. So I'm not upset.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. So you're the first one that's ever mentioned that. So that's interesting. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys are clueless about it, and then they get so close to the fight and the UFC probably sends them some emails, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, but the UFC is so quick on hey, go here, you're done. And I can't speak for other countries. I'm sure if you go to Brazil or something, there's one place they have to go, whereas me, I have to go 5 different places and stuff like that. And because of that, it's a little time consuming, but for the most part, not a big deal.
You've had an extra 2.5 months around there to prepare for your debut. Do you feel a lot better about that compared to that short notice couple week fight?
Yes, and for sure I felt like a million times better going into this fight than I did that fight. I don't want to say I didn't feel ill prepared going into that fight. I felt like I was coming in guns blazing in a sense. I felt very confident in my game plan, and I felt like I was going to win. But when I was there, you know, like I was there for a day in the hotel, like because I get there, COVID test, and then I was isolated, and we were waiting for the results. So I went down, waited for the results, and there was there's a few things that like in that little spectrum of a window that kind of like really changed my mindset of coming into this following fight. It was just seeing Charles Oliveira walking through. I don't know what it was. It was like there was just something about his presence. I don't know if it was just his, aura or whatever you want to believe in. There's just something seeing him. I'm just like, I want to be where he's at. I don't know where he was at, but I was like, I need to be there. And, and I was also talking to one of my teammates who's doing his part to get on the Ultimate Fighter because, they're trying to restart the series again. And he's the one, he walks around at like 210. Excuse me. But they found out that his body mass index is like he's like 195 of just sheer muscle, and he's like, I can't make it to 185s. So he's been hunting people down to help him get drop weight, and I'm like, and you kind of like, I'm surrounded by this guy that's trying to do everything he can to make it to 185 the healthiest way possible, and talking to him, or just seeing Charles, I'm just like, I need to step up my game. I'm surrounded by people that are, top tier. Even though my boy, he's not in the UFC or anything, but the dude's golden. He's getting there one way or another. He's going to be on the top soon. So I'm not worried about him at all. He's younger. He's just taking the longer path. So I'm just like, yeah, I want to get on that path. So I had COVID, so I had to take a couple weeks off. Then I just kind of took the rest of the year off. It just kind of worked out that way. Like, I got COVID. I took my test Monday, but I didn't get my results until Friday of the following week. So I just stayed home. I picked up Cyberpunk, and I was just like, it was nice. I've been in the game once. I'm on like my second playthrough. Just like I heard all about the glitches and stuff, but I'm just like to me that doesn't bother me because I'm a big RPG person. Glitches everywhere, so I'm just like, yeah. So the week of New Year's, I started Christmas. I kind of took time off, just family and stuff. I don't believe in New Year's should be a big celebration. I'm one of those people who think it's just dumb. So I was like, hey, let's just get back into it. I started training again, and then I hit up a few people that I knew were going to help me. Started working with a guy named Brandon, who's he was a JUCO All-American wrestler, and then he went to the NCAAs. He did fairly well for himself. He's currently helping Temecula's youth wrestling program out there, and he also does a lot of strength and conditioning. He's working on becoming a power lifter himself, and I never once took a serious strength and conditioning coach. I had one for the year 2019. I had one guy I was working with, Corey Belices. This is Cheetos, strength and conditioning coach. Love the dude. The dude's amazing. I will never talk ill about that guy. He runs a beautiful, tight ship. Problem was, I'm in Hemet. That's Huntington Beach. If you're in the SoCal area, you know that that's a drive. It's a minimum an hour and a half there. And for me to go just for an hour of, conditioning once a week really wasn't, worth it for him or I. Um, so I had to make that cut him. Again, I do respect him, and he did a lot for me in that little time period. But it was also affecting my actual training, and I couldn't just feel I wasn't comfortable sacrificing one for another. Whereas now I'm like doing strength conditioning 3 times a week, and I have it. I just compound all my training sessions. So I'm usually training in the morning about anywhere from 4 to 6 hours in the morning. So I'm really tired in the mornings, and then I do sometimes light training at night. Like tonight, I'm going to just be working boxing. It won't be crazy. I won't be like, but it'll just be enough to, keep my blood flowing, keep my mindset. And and I feel like I'm getting to the place that I wanted to be when I saw Charles. And again, it's just one of those weird epiphanies or weird moments where you're like, I need to be there. And I'm very grateful for that too, because I think my last fight going in there, I felt good. I felt confident. I felt like I was going to win. That hasn't changed, but it's gone from here to like here, and I'm like, and I feel like I have a newer mindset, and I'm excited to see what I do. I mean, of course, I think everyone in like my position, their first UFC debut, nerves, just like I've been very nervous about this fight, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's happening. But it's just one of those moments where I'm just like, all right, I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling like my technique is on a whole new level, and I'm actually excited to showcase my new I would say my sharpened skill set on this upcoming fight.
Yeah, but also you have that international experience, and I feel like that is, so important for a guy entering the UFC.
I actually do. Yeah, like I forget that I do sometimes. Like for me, because I did have international experience. That, like, I was talking to Ashley Yoder once, and it was her fight with Ronda Marcos, I think.
Yeah, Randa Marcos.
Yeah, Randa Marcos. I'm bad keeping up with like lower weights. But she was like, hey, I've never fought like out of the country. That's why I gathered. She was like, what do you do to acclimate? I'm like, I acclimate due to the fact that I have insomnia. So I only sleep 4 to 6 hours every like night. So I'm just like, if I get 4 hours of like sleep, I'm like, I'll just be up and then try to take a nap. And then for me, that works. I'm like, for other people, I'm like I told her everything I was told to like maybe help her and try to find what suits her best. Because I mean, also I feel like women like to sleep more than men, and I don't like sleeping at all. So what works for me might not ever work for her. She might be one of those people like I must lay and live in my bed. So I just gave her all the tips I was given, and it was one of those weird moments where I was like, yeah, I have experience that some fighters don't. Like I think I have my boy Jordan Winsky. He's like 11-3, but I don't think he's ever fought outside of the United States. And I'm just like, you should do that, even if it's Mexico. Or like if you go to Mexico City, elevation's 7,000 feet in the air. Like I fought in South Africa, Johannesburg and Pretoria, like 4,000 feet in the air. So I mean, I was like, you need to experience different environments, and plus, you also have to understand that there are going to be some culture clashes too. That like it sounds dumb, but some of your what you take for granted here might not be acceptable out in other places, and some of your like fight week rituals might not be looked upon properly in a different location, and you have to be able to change that. You have to be able to work with that on the fly. If you can't, yeah, you kind of screwed.
Yeah, definitely. Now, your upcoming opponent, man, Sergey Spivak, he's 2-2 in the UFC. They're giving you a guy that has some experience, and is this the type of matchup that you expected when they decided to give you a shot, a debut?
Yes and no, because I feel like with the Contender Series, I feel like they're actually kind of pressing him a little bit harder than someone they pull off. Okay, I'll I feel like certain people that they're giving harder fights to, or allowing harder fights to be had if you're coming off the Contender Series, versus just someone they pick up. Because I've noticed that, like, Contender Series, they're like, oh, we've seen you in action, you're tough, let's get you a fight. Now, they're not going to give me someone in the top 10, but they're not going to give me someone that hasn't had experience in the UFC either. And I think Sergey, 2-2 isn't, the worst. And in all fairness, it's kind of like 2-1 because his first fight was, I think, on a week notice against Walt Harris.
Yeah.
And it's Walt Harris. It's not night out on a week notice, but I also got why Sergey jumped on that opportunity. And so I kind of look at it like 2-1. I don't really, knock him for the Walt Harris thing. But, I mean, it's a pro fight, so technically you have to, but still. So, I mean, I feel like they think that I could be competitive with Sergey. They think that it's not going to just be one-sided where I go in there and Sergey just beats me up. But I think they're like, all right, well, Sergey's going to have, his moments. Jared's going to have his moments. It's going to work out beautifully. And, yeah. Now, my biggest problem, though, going into this fight was if I win. I had a list of names that I wanted to call out. Mm-hmm. And for some fucking reason, they're all on the same card. Okay, I was freaking Chris Darkus. He's fighting Alexei Oleinik. I'm like, what the fuck? Then I already called out Tom. Mm-hmm. Like, I just want to fight him. There's nothing. He looks like a fun fight. That's going to be a good time. Nope, he's fighting freaking Orlowski. Yeah. And I'm upset because I want to fight Orlowski. Orlowski's not going to be in the UFC much longer. Not because he's terrible. He's still kicking ass. But he's old. It's like Overeem. Oh, I want to fight Overeem too, but he's retiring. And I'm just like, the fuck? Like, there's people I want to fight. And which that also comes down to is if I beat Sergey, or, if I beat him, and you get people like Orlowski and Overeem, and honestly, even Alexei Oleinik, they're not, I wouldn't say in their prime, but they're not as young as the rest of us. I wouldn't say not as hungry, but like Overeem already said that he's going for one more title shot. If he gets the title, he goes, I'm retiring. He's like, I'm done. And, that's going to open up the division for some of these younger guys to, like, jump into the top 15 a lot sooner than maybe other weight classes. And it's kind of interesting to kind of see who takes those, like, next few spots and how the rankings change up. I'm looking forward to it because I feel like I will be in the rankings sooner than later.
Well, this Spivak matchup, I feel like this is the measuring stick. You talked about it earlier, like the Contender Series guys, when they come in, they're going to give them someone that has experience. It's the measuring stick. You pass this test, you're going to get the Arlovskis or the Oleinik. I feel like that's the next logical step. Just like how Dawkins came in, he got a couple wins. They gave him a bigger name. Aspinall, same situation for him, even though he didn't come off the Contender Series. So now with this fight, Spivak, stylistically, what do you see?
Stylistically, so I believe he's a Sambo guy. Judo, tomato. He's from Ukraine. I think he trains in Russia, Ukraine. So I'm prepping for that. And, here in the States we have really good wrestling. I picked up my wrestling. I do respect his ground, but I mean, I'm not, some slouch on the ground myself. I am a black belt. I've been, doing jiu-jitsu for like 12 years. So, I mean, I'm definitely not an easy day on the ground. So I think, if I could, but I think I'm better on the feet. Despite my last fight was horrible. Let's not talk about how terrible my striking was in that fight. But I do think my striking is better than Sergey, so I think that's going to play a massive factor into it. And I'm doing everything I can to utilize my strength and exploit his weaknesses. And I'm excited for this, just because I feel like this is a good fight for me stylistically, and I get to showcase my skills against someone that is respected, who is younger, but he's showing signs that he's going to be there for a minute. He's not just some guy that's just like, oh, da da da. And he's clearly game that he signed the contract not once but twice to fight me. So I'm excited, and I think, it's going to be a fun fight because he thinks he could beat me. And I always like going against guys that think they could beat me. And, yeah, it's something I want, and stylistically I think it favors me. And, yeah, I think this is a good stepping stone, too, because, maybe if I win, I could get, the winner or loser of any of the fights that I have upcoming. I mean, granted, the fight I don't want immediately is Derek Lewis or Curtis Blades. Like, if I could avoid one of those two for about maybe at least a year, I'd be cool with that too. I mean, that main event is that's questionable. I don't know who's gonna win. Like, you got the very good wrestler of Curtis Blades. His takedowns, just chef kiss, amazing. And then Derek Lewis. It's like the moment, he's not feeling it anymore, he throws one overhand right, the fight's over. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that fight, but I'm also looking forward to winning this fight so I can get one step closer to be able to be in that conversation with those guys too. And like I said, like hopefully in a year or so, maybe my name's being brought up in conversations like, oh, Derek Lewis is looking for a fight. Curtis Blades looking for a fight. Jared's down to punch either of them. I want to be in that conversation where it's not something that's brushed off.
I think you have the best position because you get to fight first. So after you win, you just be like, all right, let me get on my list and just tell everybody beforehand, like, I'm looking for you to win the fight so I can fight you.
It's like, win or lose, I want I think I want to fight Orlovsky the most out of all of them there, because I remember watching Orlovsky when I was a little bit younger in high school. I was just like, I like this guy. And, when he knocked out Travis Brown, I don't like Travis Brown, so I was very happy when he knocked out Travis Brown. I was like, yes! So I think I want to have that fight against Orlovsky just because it would be like that dream fight. And same with Overeem. Like, Overeem is like one of my favorite all-time heavyweights. And I'm like, I want to fight with you, sir. Don't retire until I fight you. That's my goal with it. And I'm excited for this. And I think it's awesome that I get to be on card with 4 heavyweight fights on it. It's not heard of. So I think we're going to get a little bit more eyes on this card just because they're expecting people to just go sleeps. Mm-hmm. I was like, people are going to bring pillows, be like, night time. Granted, Tom and Orlovsky are very versatile fighters. And then Chris Darkus and Alexei Oleinik, that's going to be a fun fight. But I don't think someone's going to sleep, or let me rephrase that. I don't think someone's going to sleep in the traditional heavyweight fashion of getting knocked out. One of those two sinks in a submission, I think that's where the fight's going to happen, is on the ground. And I think I want to say Lennox is going to get this because he's been on fire with his grappling. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being on this card, being part of it, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, speaking of pillows, man, you have so many knockouts. Are you expecting to get a knockout in this fight against Spivak, or do you see like Spivak trying to grind on you and just hug you and just wear on you?
I'm trying to expect everything. I because most of my like finishes actually come from the ground and pound style. So I mean, I'm not too worried about going on the ground and him grinding on me. I was like, I come from a wrestling gym that all we do is grind on each other. So I mean, there's a song about grind on me. That should be played at my gym. Just grind on me. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm prepared for that. Like I said, I've also been working with a really big guy for wrestling also, Brandon. He's doing my strength and conditioning, but we wrestle a lot too because I'm bringing him in with me, and he's like, dude, I'm excited. It's like the fact that I'm your strength and conditioning, I'm helping you wrestle more, and that dude's on me like white on rice, like just on me, and I can't get him off me. And so I'm really expecting some that kind of forcefulness on me from Sergey. So I don't know where he's going to take it, but I have plans on beating him up wherever he takes it, and I want to go for a finish because judges don't like me. I've only won 1 out of 3 decisions, and I swear my 2 losses from decisions. One of them, I felt like I beat the person up to the point where it wasn't questionable, but you gotta appease the judges, not necessarily your beliefs. And I watch the fight all the time. I'm just like, I don't know how I lost this fight. I felt like I beat him. And then another one, I haven't really got to sit down and watch the fight, but my opponent said that he felt like I won. I personally think I felt I won, but again, I don't need to make myself believe it. I needed to make the judges believe it. And judges don't like me. I have told myself that. I was like, I don't believe judges like me. So I try to avoid them as much as possible. And I have one of my top students, his father actually used to be a UFC judge. And he goes, oh, I would have voted for you to win. I'm like, yeah, but I teach your son. Of course you would have voted for me.
Yeah. Conflict of interest right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyways, man, I'm looking forward to your debut February 20th in Las Vegas. You get to be in the comforts of that city. You've been there before. You were there for the Contender Series. Jared, thank you so much, man, for the time.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.